I'm joined now by a special guest to offer insight into what has been quite a saga. Ken Friedman was the press secretary leading Giuliani's 1993 mayoral campaign, which was victorious. That was the campaign that, of course, led to many thinking of Giuliani ultimately as America's mayor. He also wrote What Happened to Giuliani Years Ago. The man I worked for then is not the man who now lies for Donald Trump. Ken, thanks for being here.
Sure. Ari, thanks for having me again.
You look at this new testimony that he had to offer. He has been around the system more than most. He is a former prosecutor, at one time heralded. Do you think that he provided information, or based on what you know, do you think it's more likely he pled the fifth?
I think it's more likely that he invoked attorney-client privilege, because if he tells the truth, it won't set him free. I think an indictment is a foregone conclusion here. It's just a question of whether he flips on Trump or not.
Well, let's pause right there. We'll deal one and then two. You work for him. You've expressed your concern. You believe today he will be indicted in Georgia.
I do. I wrote that back in July. Let's just say that I have my sources. And I've been paying close attention, and people close to him reach out to me in despair, frankly, because they don't know what to do anymore. But the cat's out of the bag. I mean, there's no turning back the clock here.
And you're doing something that is difficult. We've talked about this in our coverage, where some people stick to things to the end. Some people appear to have no limit. Other people say, well, you supported some aspect of his leadership then, or his vision then, in that situation, but you're assessing what's going on now. Do you think that he lost any sense of a line? Because we've covered this tonight in other ways, but now we're focused on him because he just testified. If he has no line, then he put himself, presumably, in legal jeopardy to help Donald Trump in that bid to overturn the election. Do you have a sense of why he would go that far at this stage in his life after they lost the election?
Because he plays hardball, always has. I wrote that 3 years ago. In defense of his client, he's going to do the best job he can. But lying is not acceptable as a lawyer. Listen, I think Trump stole his soul. I mean, Rudy let him. But there was a time that he did have a soul. Right after 9/11, he returned a check for $10 million to a Saudi prince because he didn't accept the premise that America was somehow involved in 9/11. So he has shown true character and integrity throughout his career and throughout his life. But he got seduced by Trump and by the money and by the access and by the fame. And by the relevance, most importantly. Losing relevance for him was very, very difficult. Losing his law licenses has been even more difficult, I'm told.
Yeah, you mentioned what you're told, and I understand, like anyone, you may keep the confidence there. But the people around him, their view right now is that he will be indicted. He does know it. And what about the information he has on Trump?
Well, there aren't that many people around him anymore. But the ones who are know the truth. And Rudy knows the truth. And he knows he's been lying for his client. So it's just a question of, again, whether the DA in Fulton County puts together a conspiracy case. It looks like she is. I think she's subpoenaed 17 people, and she's a RICO expert. So it's not a leap to assume that that's what she's trying to do, with Donald Trump at the top of the pyramid and Rudy only one brick underneath.
And you think he gets it from what you can tell? I mean, he did cut a different swath yesterday than the rabid press conferences. He looked like something had made him more careful.
Some would say that he was sober, literally and figuratively. I was told by somebody who works with him that he recently started his rant again, that the election was stolen from Trump. And this person, who is a rock rib Republican, said, cut it out, Rudy. Biden's the president. He got 7 million more votes. And he said, Rudy then winked at him. And that says to me, he's in on the joke, only it's not funny, not to the rest of us.
This was when?
Recently, a couple of weeks.
Within the last month or two? I mean, during this Georgia probe. And that he,
Yes.
I mean, that's just interesting. You're saying that according to this person, you both are quite close to him over historically, that he evinced knowledge it's all a lie they put forward to the government to overturn an election.
That's what a wink implies to me.
Yeah. Well,
It
Ken,
means that
yeah, please.
that I say that he's in on the joke. Listen, he said his goal was to disrupt the world, he and Trump, and create chaos. Trump thinks that people don't hold on to thoughts for more than 3 days. He may be right. So if you keep stirring it up, it confuses people and they forget what's important and what's not. But now he's got to face the piper.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen, and we reported this in a number of strands tonight, whether or not Donald Trump gets away with that chaos ultimately at Trump or at the attempted coup with the intelligence documents at his Florida home remains to be seen. There's a legal process here. Whether that chaos catches up with a lot of other people, Ken, it already has. I'm out of time, but finish your thoughts, sir.
And let's not forget that Rudy said on January 6th, let's have trial by combat.
Yep.
That clearly says let's attack the Capitol. And it was a very short time between his admonition to the crowd and the time that they did breach the Capitol. Meanwhile, Trump was sitting with his feet up in the White House. So I think Rudy, in a way, is more culpable than Trump on that day.
Well, and you mentioned RICO, which has to do with the conspiracy, and Mr. Giuliani was in the late night December 18th meeting where they tried and failed to do a military coup, and that is when they turned to the Capitol. And that was when they couldn't get military muscle, so they went for MAGA physical street muscle. Some people may not have known that. I've always been very careful with the evidence. We do not assume how many people had forethought, malicious advance intent to commit violence. That has to be proven, not assumed. The evidence on Mr. Giuliani having been in that room and then everything else is worse than against other people. And I understand you're trying to speak truth. I'll tell you, Ken, as we sign off, because you reminded us that a wink can mean someone's lying. I'm going to keep both my eyes open when I say thanks for being here, Ken Friedman.